Welcome to my humble little office. My name is R. Keith Andrews. I'm a spiritual guide and paranormal adept. The journey continues today, and that's a good question, on September 7th, 2025 at approximately 8:03 p.m. PST. Now, I've made it my life's journey to remind people that working together, we can make this a better world for virtually everybody. Now, I build myself as a spiritual guide because the tools I offer are the exact same tools I personally use in my day-to-day life. And the philosophies of life I talk about are the same philosophies I guide virtually every decision I make. That I make by. Now, with this in mind, I know we can make this world a better world for virtually everybody, but it's going to require effort. Now, you're going to have to pardon, well, you don't have to. It's a bit of a scattered approach. This is the first time in almost 2 months that I've been on air. And we've had to do a whole pile of revamping on tech, not to mention the social outlook. But what we're going to look at today is literally, we're going to be looking at the power of positive thought with effort. Now, I'm going to probably upset a few people, so I'll apologize ahead of time and tell you that's just the way things work. But here's the reality behind it. I'm all for people sitting back, for people going to whatever circle they decide and praying for help, asking for a higher source or for a different entity to come in and give you a hand, whether that's give you a little bit of strength, maybe help your health, maybe help sort something out. But here's the kicker. All of the prayers in the world, all of the positive affirmations in the world are not going to amount to a whole lot if you turn around and you do nothing on your part. Okay? You can pray for the fire to go out. You don't start putting the work in and putting the fire out, it's going to burn. Now, you don't have to believe me. You don't have to agree with me. As a matter of fact, I strongly recommend that you literally do your own research. I can tell you these things work. Okay? Now, am I... Yeah, well, that's not going to happen. Oh, sheep. Give me half a second. Hello. I'm on air. She hung up. That works then. She's going to try and... Gail Andrews. I told her. Anyway. Hello. Okay, I'm on air. I actually sent a message to that individual and told them I will be on air between 8 and 9. Now, I don't know. Remember that thing I said, praying, it works well? All the positive affirmations, it's a great idea. But here's the thing. If you take a look at it across every spiritual path that I've talked to, every spirit, whether we're talking religion, whether we're talking mainstream religion, this now annoys me. Oh. Anyway. And my apologies for that. Needless to say, I am not perfect by any means. The one thing that we have to realize is there is not a soul on the planet that is actually immune to moderation. Okay, everybody is going to have an off day. You can pray for it. You can ask somebody else to help. But here's the thing: there are 3 karmic laws that apply to everybody, literally, God included. Now I call him God because I'm lazy. 1 syllable, 1 word. Okay. You can call them anything you want, and we could list off all the different variations. But even God is not immune to consequence. Now, think about it this way. If you're looking at, I desire my world to be better. Okay. I desire my world. I desire wealth. I desire security. If you do not alter the current path you're on, if it's not leading to prosperity, it is going to end up being an interesting journey that's not going to get you where you desire to be. Okay. So what you're looking at here is you desire, for instance, and this is the one I'm working on primarily. Okay. I'd love to say I'm working on primarily getting my own emotions under control. Hey, guess what? That ain't working as well as I'd like. But where it comes to my office, okay, take the office and go, I'd like it to be all sorted out and organized. If I don't get off my tail and move things around, they're going to stay disorganized. Okay. And with that in mind, I have come to the understanding that there is virtually nothing that you cannot accomplish if you put your heart and your body to work. Basically, the idea is heart, mind, and soul. Now, 3 karmic laws to follow. Be true to yourself first. Now, let's understand something. When we're talking about being true to yourself, okay, this does not mean walk on other people. It does not mean treat other people poorly. It means if you've got a belief, stand your ground on it, but watch for things that alter that path. Okay, I'm not perfect. Again, the way Joe Stewart put it, another listener in here in our chat room, I don't know where that's saying right now, but as he put it, I'm not perfect, but I am doing my best. Okay, and the one thing we have to realize is that with the way the world works, okay, with the way the world works, if you desire your life to change, give you a couple of examples. Okay, my mother, when she was in school, we used manual typewriters. Some of you remember what they were. Okay, but she used to type at 80 words a minute on a manual typewriter. Now, that's a great speed, and back then that was actually quite normal. However, she had a classmate that typed at 120 words a minute. The kicker to it, the classmate only physically had one hand. What this tells you is you can learn to do whatever you will with what you've got. You can call your holdups handicaps if you'd like. That's what they do in golf. Okay. If I were to go play golf again, I'd need a handicap of at least 85. Okay. I mean, it took me 5 strokes to tee off. But when you get your mind set on something, take a look at it. Okay. Take a look at that whole setup and what you're aiming for. Break it down into small projects, 15 minutes to half an hour each. By doing that, okay, by breaking them down into that level, what you're looking at is every 15 minutes to half an hour, you get a piece sorted out. Okay, this is the issue of going, I desire this outcome. Okay, and I'm going to do these steps to make it work. Now, as long as that is happening, you will move forward. Just want to make sure that didn't backfire. Apparently not. As long as you're making the effort to make things happen, you can actually learn. Okay? What you've got to remember is it's literally up to you to get off your tail and make it happen. Okay? It's literally a question of, do you desire it to change? If you're content with the way your life is, do not worry about the way other people see it, aside from legally speaking. Okay? Remember, be true to yourself first. Get the idea in mind that you desire to attain. Second law, do unto others as you desire them to do unto you. In other words, if you desire people to be honest with you, be honest with them. If you desire people to treat you fairly, treat them fairly. Okay? If you desire people to apologize to you if they've done something wrong, make certain if you've done something wrong that you apologize to them. It is not a question of whether or not they should speak first. It's a question of you came up with the idea that it needed to happen. Like, I see a lot of people with relationships falling apart. And the one thing we have to remember is that if your relationship is falling apart, this is not a question of whether or not, this is not a question of whether or not it should be them to apologize or it should be them to reach out. If you've been out of touch with somebody and you're waiting for them to contact you, it is critical that you turn around and reach out and contact them first, no matter how often you've done it. Okay? Because the reality behind it is this. If it is something that you have not turned around and done, remember, with today's world, a telephone runs both directions. Okay? And this is just the reality behind life. What you've got to remember is that no matter what you're doing, you've got control over your life. Virtually every individual I've talked to that has any sort of belief structure, virtually every one of them has said the same thing. We were given free will and free choice. And this comes back to that other neat little issue, which is literally energy out, energy in. The type of world you desire to sort out, that's the one you've got to start participating in. Okay. Now, I don't know if that makes sense from your standpoint, but understand something. If your world is going one way, okay, if your world is going a normal direction, if you're not content with it, you've got to make some sort of a change. Okay, it doesn't matter what the change is, but if you do not alter what you're doing, you're not going to have a different outcome. And that's just the reality behind it. Do we have, what I'm looking at here, because again, we did a whole pile of revamping. And I'm just seeing if we've actually got anybody in the room. And right now, there we go. We're way down below. Okay. Now, Storm. Now, first and foremost, in the background, we do have Storm. He is the primary moderator here. And rest assured, with the family issues that have been going on, the fact he's here at all today, absolute hats off to him. Now, I'm not expecting a lot of turnout today for a lot of reasons, but we are back on air. We are going to do our best to stay that way. The important thing you got to remember is when you have a desire to change something, it is absolutely critical that you make the effort to change it. Because if you don't, you run into an interesting problem. If you don't make any changes, those changes just don't work well. I'm looking at my stream right now, and this is just a bit of a sidetrack, but welcome to Restart. I'm looking at this, and I'm seeing nobody. I'm still showing it on hold. And I don't understand why. Yeah. And Storm, I know you're listening in.
Yeah, we are currently streaming.
Okay. We just have nobody in the room right now?
No, actually, currently in the room, and we want to welcome back our friends Joe Stewart Eternity Eternal, Cosmic Joe's Chronicles. Haven't seen you before. Welcome in. Ferret is in to see us tonight, and Chad has shown up. So we've got quite a crew in there. It may be a different link on YouTube itself for you to see it on your side.
Oh, okay. Well, then I'm just going to shut it down and just stop looking for it. Because
Okay.
I'm seeing the warning chats, or not the warning, but the stuff you posted.
Right.
But I'm seeing nobody else. Matter of fact,
Yeah,
it shows I'm still waiting.
I think, yeah, go ahead and close that out. That was a glitch in the reassigning of the stream through the stream platform. So
Okay.
back on your YouTube page, there actually is a link for this show. Particularly, it's actually going to show your face, a picture of the room there, so you can access it now from your YouTube channel.
Okay, because it makes it so much easier to talk to people.
Yeah.
To talk to the people that are actually there.
Yep.
Now, where am I? And that is me. Thank you very much. Don't know where the link is in all fairness. Is that, did you set that? No, you didn't set that up. So let's try it this way. Pardon me, this is what's called an annoyance. Actually, not as bad as the last one. Okay. There we are. Now that should get me in, and that's live. And we will cut that off. Okay, now I've killed the speaker, and now I can actually see what's going on. This is a plus. Now, with that in mind, we go back to the top here. And Joe, welcome back. You are in with the gold. And I'm working on a small screen, so pardon that side of it. Eternity Eternal, you are in with the silver. And thank you very much. I really appreciate you guys showing up. Eternity Eternal, you are... Oh, no, we already got that.
Actually, Keith.
Yeah.
Chad was actually first in the room.
Chad was first in the room. My apologies. Yep. So we'll revamp that. Chad, you are in with the gold. And thank you for that clarification. It was up higher. Then we have Joe with the silver. And then we've got Eternity Eternal in with the bronze. At which point we swing down and we get to Cosmic Joe's Chronicles. Cosmic Joe. First time I've seen you in here, and you're in with the honorable mention. Well done. And yeah, we had some glitches regarding the whole 9 yards here. Number one, we start with the fact that I went and got married last month. So that put a little bit of kink in things. I had to, I literally had to leave the country to do it because that's where she was. However, that being said, add to that, family hiccups, and all of a sudden we got a fiasco, which is why we're a day later than we were planning in the first place. But carrying down the line here, I'm just seeing if I can catch up on things. It's fun because I don't have my big monitor right now. And Chad, thanks so much. I'm glad you could join us. Yeah, I was not actually.
Ferret is also in there with us.
And did I miss Ferret, or did she come down a little bit?
She would have if she was came in after Cosmic Joe.
Yeah, right after.
Yeah.
And Ferret, how you doing? Glad you could join us. And yes, I'm looking at a really small printing. And much as I do know that my eyesight is working better for static, for reading a normal book, pixels flash. And that becomes a problem. Oh, Chad goes, to be fair, I'm a wrench. So this is correct. And this is why I've got people like Chad and Storm in here. Chad goes, to be fair, I'm a moderator. So, I'm a wrench, so I don't get a gold. I don't get a medal. Mention, absolutely. See, now this is what we get for me being absolutely not perfect. Okay, so Joe, you do have the gold. And we go all the way up here. Joe does have the gold. Eternity's got the silver. Cosmic has the bronze, actually. And Ferret came in with honorable mention. Now that we got the medals all organized, again, this is a question of we're working at rebuilding the whole system. This is also why I am still putting out Positive Perspectives, okay, the magazine. But I had to revamp it at the same time. And again, with everything being turned around and twisted upside down, it delayed a few things, to say the least. Now, where am I? Just go all the way down to the bottom so I know where I am. Oh, here we are. Oh, there we go. Yeah, come to think of it, Cosmic, I'm just reading here. Cosmic says he's been in the show before, and he was. But that said, welcome back. Now that you mention, I do remember that, but do not ask me how long. Okay. Now, one of the biggest things, and what have we got here? I wish I could read properly. It's in your show in the past. I have a playlist. Oh, I absolutely love that. You know, Joe says, or Cosmic Joe says, I have a playlist called our Keith Andrews Mentorship, which I include. And I really, which includes the videos. I really thank you for that. To be clear, I will be posting the following information. Again, it's a question. Here's a vision. So let's make it a reality. Friday and Saturday, we're going to be dealing with the alien side of things. Sundays, productive positivity, meaning how do we take your life from where it is to get it to where you desire it to be? Now, the reality of it from my standpoint is my life has taken some pretty severe changes. This is why I say the tools I offer are what I'm using. One of the biggest things we have to look at with this world is we can continue blaming anybody you'd like. Blame God, blame the government, blame the neighbor. It doesn't matter who you blame. Ultimately, you're responsible for your actions. Same as I'm responsible for mine. Okay, so what I've got here is I am going back on air as soon as I can figure out Restream, so I can go back on air and do the day in the office. I will be going back with that. In the meantime, when we are dealing with these topics, absolutely, if you've got questions, bring them up. Okay, we are going to do our best to stay on topic, and the reason for that is so we can actually make some headway and make some changes, not just in your world. There we are. Cosmic's going. Yeah, Cosmic. Absolutely. If you got, as a matter of fact, this is to everybody, just a reminder. If you've got questions while we're on air here, absolutely put them in all caps. The reason being, I have trouble finding them, and sometimes they can go by in a hurry. So if you feel I've missed your question, absolutely repost it. The reality of it is this: if I'm deliberately not going to answer your question, I'll come right out and tell you I'm not. Okay? And there is a major reason for that. Many questions I may tell you, you ask me a question, I may end up telling you, look, I'm not going to answer it on air, but PM me or message me. Now, bear in mind, I'm only on Facebook Messenger. Okay, I don't know where the rest of the ways of contacting me are. Okay, but find a way to contact me. As a matter of fact, if you go, there is another way. If you go to buymeacoffee.com/innervoicej, you'll find a whole pile of other ways to contact me. Okay, so absolutely, if I tell you I'll give you an answer off air, do not hesitate to call me. Don't hesitate to contact. Okay, now the nice part about it is if I'm not going to answer it here, it's because of this. There was a problem, what, 4 years ago, 5 years, 3 years ago now, where there were questions that were being asked. I made a comment, okay, about my personal opinion. Okay, and I made very clear it was my personal opinion. YouTube contacted me and said, "You crossed this line. Do not do that again." YouTube has its own rules. Okay, I've got my own rules. And this is why I say, if you desire a question answered, ask. If I tell you I'm not answering it, don't ask again, because I'm not going to be re-answering it. But when you've got an idea in your mind, now I'm building an empire. I'm actually building, and you're going to love this one, I'm building a world in which we can all work together. Joe, how we go? Uh-oh. Okay, and Joe goes, I do have a question that is off topic. What is a floating white light? Joe, I'm going to make a note on that one. The short answer is there's a lot of possibilities. But as you know, now fortunately, Joe, in this case, I actually have your direct link. I'm just trying to get my hand to work. So what I'm doing is just making a note for myself. And Joe, I cannot answer that efficiently here. There's a lot of things it could be. But what do we got? What is a floating white light? I'm making a note of it for myself to ensure I get to it, and I will get back to you tonight after the show. I'm just making a note for myself. Okay. And in all fairness, under what I'll do is I'll send you the answer, but I'm keeping it on file, and I will also be answering that question on next Friday. Okay, we're going to do our best to keep this stabilized. Okay, and this is why, for those of you listening, okay, Joe has asked a question that I'm not giving an answer to right now. The question he asked is, what is a floating white light? I will give that answer to Joe tonight. To the rest of you, I will cover that next Friday. Okay, when we come back in with the alien topics. Because we're running 2 out of 5 days, i.e., 2/3 of the time, 2/5 of the time, on the alien topics, on what's going on with races. I'm looking at it this way. I've got several different fields, okay, that I am opening the doors to, that I'm already working on. And the reality behind it is this. I laid it out. Therefore, just like with other people's streams, if I'm in somebody else's stream and they've got a topic that they're talking about, I'm not going to go in there and start asking a bunch of questions that are off topic. Okay, it's just not going to happen. That said, if I happen to be in there and you've got a question you do desire to ask of me, in deference to the show, to the other person's show, okay, the reality is, if you do catch me in another show and you've got a question for me, it tells you I'm online. So drop me a line and ask me the question. I won't be answering them on air unless the speaker asks me a question, at which point I will be more than happy to do so. But when you take a look at what you desire your life to look like, it's best to get an overall view. In my case, I'm building an empire. I've got a very big vision in my head. And unfortunately, very long story short, I ran into family issues. Okay. I have made a decision on how to deal with said issues. And here's the reality. They push buttons I'm not willing to push. I went into severe depression for the last several years and did not get the work done with the books I've been writing. This is why everything stalled. I have since turned around and said, okay, my life isn't working this way. So I cut communication with the people that were toxic. If they reach out, I will answer what I have to. I'm not reaching out again to them. I mean, realistically, if you see a burner on the stove and you see that it's, that it's red hot, where are we? Oh, okay, Storm, appreciate that. If you see a red hot stove burner, you know it's going to burn you. Don't put your hand on it. If you're dealing with a toxic person, okay, and you know they're toxic, cut your communication as short as you have to. And we have Cass. Welcome aboard. How you doing? I do appreciate you returning. It's been a rough run getting things sorted around. Now, let me just make sure I'm not doing something backwards. No, that just sits that way. So we'll just leave that up. See, I'm still running 2 windows, but I lost a monitor. So the reality of it is this. If you desire your world to be better, okay, decide what is not working for you. In my case, I've literally had to take bloodline family. And there's those of you that are going to go, and they're likely to go, oh, blood is thicker than water. Metabolically, it is. Okay. Physically, blood is thicker than water. The reality of it for me is simple. If what is happening around me, or if what somebody is bringing to my table is causing me stress, and I recommend this for you as well. If they're showing up is causing you stress, quit inviting them to show up. Quit encouraging it. But I don't want to lose contact with my family. No problem. You desire your family to be in contact. Make sure it stays in contact on your terms. But remember, you treat others the way you desire to be treated. Okay. One of the nice little things about this whole revamp is I've taken a look at what I was doing. I had so many things on the go, I had to pare it down. Now, one thing that was suggested, because clearly I don't have an income right now to speak of, but I do have a number of books out there. And this is why I said, and let me just do this. No, we'll do that afterwards. Like I said, and do write it down. As a matter of fact, Chad, if you're still in the room, if you want to pop up the link to buy me a coffee, that would be great. But the link is http://www.buymeacoffee.com/Inner Voice Okay. And I probably scrambled that. But one of the things that you find with me is I can multitask on a number of different levels. This ain't one of them. So I'm trying to do something here, but God knows if it's going to work. Whoop, do that. Pardon the silence for a moment. Hopefully that worked. Now, you go there, you can find any of the books I do deal with. Today it's real simple. And from my standpoint, positivity starts in your heart. Okay? It's absolutely critical this is a rough one in a lot of cases. Okay, it's very difficult with this world the way it is. When you turn on the news and everybody says, "Here's all the bad things going on," the government is ripping everybody off. We're all in danger of being under attack. We can't afford to live, and yet people are giving everything away. Here's the thing: I can point out all the bad things. But let me ask you this: one person gets robbed. How many people on that say, here's a definitive example from years ago. Okay, there was a report done. Now, as you guys, many of you know, I play Dungeons and Dragons. Okay, now, years ago, there was a wonderful little report made in major media, in the mainstream media, that I may have the numbers a little off. But in the United States, on this particular day, there were 16,000 suicides. Okay. Now, with that in mind, they said there were 16,000 suicides. And now they quoted a number, and I believe what it boiled down to was about 60% of the suicide victims turned around and were identified as playing Dungeons and Dragons. That's where it was. 16,000 suicides where the players played Dungeons and Dragons. Okay. Well, the announcer goes on to say, the show host goes on and says, the one thing I've got to ask is this report says 16,000 kids ranging in various ages committed suicide that played Dungeons and Dragons. Okay. And he turns around and says, but I'm curious how many of those kids played chess, or how many of those people rode a motorcycle, or how many of those people were turned down to go to their prom. In other words, statistics can be utilized to do anything you'd like. Okay, what I've looked at is gone, okay, my life is running the way it is. How do I make it better? Now, marketing 101, I'm not good at it. Okay, but it has been suggested that I make certain that link goes up every show. Okay, that we talk about it. And the reason for it is when I start looking at things, let's start looking at, and we're just going to touch Main Street, and we're just going to talk overview. I'm not going to pin down any religion, any belief structure at all that is specific. Okay, so you can ask if you'd like, but I'm not going to give you an answer. But every religion, every spiritual path I've looked at talks about God is this wonderful overview, this wonderful energy that oversees everybody and loves you all and is interested in your best interest. Well, here's the thing. Number one, I'm not going to argue the point with anybody. Okay. But all of them also say you have free will. Okay. Free will means you don't get told you can't do that. You just get told if you do that, you're walking down an interesting path and there are consequences. Okay. And just for those of you that are going to go down that road, okay, there are many of you that go, I don't believe in any higher entity. Okay, I can't, I only believe in that which I can see. Well, here's a neat kicker. I'm betting dollars to donuts. There might be one of you out there that can see gravity. The rest of you can see the effects of it. And whether you believe gravity works or not, step off the deck without paying attention. Just see how happy that works out. So when you get an idea in your mind, take a look at what you're doing and ask yourself one simple question. What are you doing? What are you experiencing that is holding you back from the experience that you desire to have? What is stopping you from being successful? Okay. Now, I'll tell you, one of the biggest things that I ended up running into a problem with was lack of income and yet no respect for money. So I overspent consistently. And if I didn't change my spending habits, that was going to continue to deteriorate. Okay, now what's happened is I've got that reasonably under control. And we are simply moving forward. Okay, we are simply moving forward. I've got it under control. I'm not spending hundreds of dollars on food. I'm no longer sinking any money into anybody's business, whether it's large or small. I still get offers. Oh, we can increase your visibility in your sales. Give us X number of dollars and we can make this happen. I'm going to save you all a whole lot of effort. Don't ask. Don't offer. Because I don't deal with that anymore. I've spent thousands of dollars striving to get other companies to market for me. None of them have produced so much as an inquiry. So, and then again, we get the other issue. Now, here's a really positive outlook. And people have told me, you cannot paint everybody with the same brush, right? And I look at it going, you're right. Now, remember I mentioned I'm lazy? I don't paint people with the same brush. I paint everybody with the same bucket. Okay. And I start off with that going, this is the way I'm standing. You desire this. Talk to me, but don't bother with an offer that for X number of dollars, you can do something. Okay. I won't tell you if you give me, like I am building the publishing side of my company. Okay. I am putting together a package where people will be able to publish books through me. However, I'm not going to say, oh, give me X number, give me these thousands of dollars. I'm going to guarantee I'm going to improve your sales. Not going to happen. I don't buy it when other people tell me. I'm not about to put it on the table. Now, I know some of you are, and most of you that are in the room right now, are very aware of how many, what do we got? We got 11. That's actually not bad. Most of you are very aware. I tend to run a little smoother once I've had things in order. But I'll tell you, even today, I end up with a wonderful little hiccup. Okay. I ended up with a severe case of vertigo. And for those of you that know about that, it has a tendency of knocking me on my back. Okay. Something about the world spins really badly. Right before the show, I ended up with a second bout of it. I just about ended up deciding to cancel tonight. But I'm not dead, so here I am. Now, one of the biggest things that you have to realize here, okay, is if your life is going to change, you're the one that's going to have to make it happen. Absolutely, if you're running into a hiccup, this is where you can, when you're here, if you're running into a hiccup, like I did with Joe, come in, ask me a question, absolutely. Where we are. Joe's just going, my abilities as of late, concerning the unknown and paranormal, have greatly improved. Joe, that is absolutely fantastic. Now this is one of those neat little things. This is something we look at. Now, remember I mentioned we are looking at the power of positive thinking and effort. Joe, and this is definitely a hats off, has been working his tail feathers off to improve his own higher senses and his own observational and sensitivity levels. Just a recommendation, Joe, and this literally applies to everybody. Okay, you're making effort to make something happen. Keep notes. I keep a daily journal myself. just so I can go back if I desire to. But keep notes on your progress. Okay, this may be hard to do. Yeah, we're going on. It may be hard to quantify it on occasion, but even acknowledging the fact that your senses are getting stronger will help them get stronger. It's a weird setup, but it works. The way I ended up getting my memory for names working a little better was literally by turning around and going, my memory for names is getting better. This is something we all have got to start working with, at least if we desire the world to change. Now, I'm still a firm believer that 95% of the population out there are decent individuals. Okay, 95% are doing their best to live in a world that is absolutely chaotic. But the problem, I see so much, like when I look on Facebook specifically, there is so much coming out that is negative. Okay, what a government is doing wrong, what a corporation is doing wrong. Okay, and I'm going to tip my hat to the weirdest group of corporations that any of you are going to look at in all likelihood. I will turn around and go, people talk about big pharma being such a bad thing. Let me ask you this. Okay, I listen to what big pharma says. I'm not going to tell you any group or any actual business, but virtually all of them will go, here's a pill I want you to take. I really desire you to buy this pill. Here is what it will do for you. And they'll list off one or two things that it will help. And then they turn around and they give you a list a page and a half long of the damage it's going to do to your body. And then they'll reiterate, please buy this product because it'll help this little item. Now here's the kicker about marketing. Okay. People tend to remember the first thing that's written and the last thing, or the first thing that's said and the last thing that's said. This is why they turn around and go, here's the benefit of buying this pill. Here's a whole pile of negative. Here's a reiteration on the positive. Then they sign off. Please buy this. Now, I will tell you that I tip my hat to them because they're being honest with you. I know most people, big pharma lies to you. I'm telling you, they're being honest. They just happen to be telling you the other side of it. Uh-oh. Oh, fantastic, Joe. Remember that thing I mentioned about journals? Joe is working on number 5. I'll tell you, down the road, Joe or somebody that finds his stuff in an old cave, okay, will be able to look at that journal and go, this is what Joe did. Okay. And it does help sink it in, because here's the thing. You wake up from a dream, and it'll be sitting there right in the top of your head. For those of you striving to remember your dreams, here's a neat little trick. Your goal, remember your dreams. Your steps to do so. Take a pad of paper, put it by your bed. The moment you wake up, if you remember dreaming, write it down. Even if all you remember is that you were dreaming. Okay? Or that make you remember you were running through a field and that's all you got. Write it down. You write it down. Make sure you put the day and the time and the day that you're writing it down. Write down what you can of the dream. This will help sink it into your conscious mind. Net result, you'll remember more of it. Now, all the positive thinking in the world isn't going to make that happen. Okay? What it is it boils down to we're going to have to go with think, then speak. Okay? Now, the reality of it is, there's a lot of people that are suffering from addictions. Okay? Be it smoking, eating, drinking, drugs, they all fall into the same category. Okay, there is a solution. And in the coming, we're running low on time here, I think. Yeah, we are. We're down to the last 10 minutes. There is a simple reality. Okay, the simplest solution, and many are going to argue whether this works. Okay, but bear in mind, if I look at my career since I started when I was 10, I have well over, quite seriously, 150,000 clients. Okay, that I've dealt with. About 100,000 of those were relationship. About 30,000 were business. Okay, and then you got what do we got? Yeah, about 30,000 were business, and then you'd probably get about 20,000 varying different questions. This said, when I talk about whether something works, it's because it's coming from my database of experience, not from a governmental, a pharmaceutical, or a corporate survey. Okay, understand statistics can be changed. So I look at the whole package. There we go. And Joe goes, maybe by the end, just maybe, by the end of 2025, I'll be on my 6th dream journal. Now, whatever you do, Joe, keep those in a safe place. It may be entertaining to look back over them at some point. Now, myself, I don't look back over my life much. I keep the journal for one thing and for one reason. When I pass, whoever wants to go through it, well, it'll be in the possession of my boys, or of my wife. Fairness, it'll be in the possession of all three of them. The reality of it is, it's a story of what I've gone through and the way I've come to understand things, where it comes to this world. Okay, you desire your life to change. It's time for you to get off your tail feathers and make it happen. Okay, now, I don't have really functional time to do it. Not right now, but I am going to post. As a matter of fact, let's do this. Just made a note for myself to post on Facebook, and now I'm only on Facebook and LinkedIn. That said, I certainly encourage you guys to share what I'm going to post. I'm going to be posting a step-by-step method of literally it's another method, another tool. There's lots of them out there, but if the ones you've tried haven't worked, this tool is designed to break any addiction. Okay, with minimal withdrawal and no money. Okay, I'm not selling you this tool. I'm simply going to post it out there. I myself was a drug addict, and an alcoholic. Now, I'm a firm believer there are two types of both. You are either a drug addict or a recovered drug addict, or an alcoholic or a recovered alcoholic. Now, many of you are going to look at this and go, oh, you want to be positive, so you're just saying, talk about it, it'll be better. No, I'm telling you, talking about what you're going through, maybe, talking to somebody about what they're going through, maybe all they need to avoid ending their entire existence, because you showed them they mattered to at least one person. Okay, now there are t-shirts that are out there that have all kinds of sayings, and yes, just a heads up, guys, I told you I'm building an empire. One of those things is I am going to be bringing, on top of books coming to the table, I am going to be bringing t-shirts. And I saw one the other day. I'm repeating it, yes, but it was really great. It said it in one sense, a little overstated from my standpoint. Storm, thanks for the heads up. The t-shirt said, your opinion does matter. And then the caption underneath, just not to me. Okay. In here, absolutely, I really appreciate people staying on track. I'm way more than I was expecting. I was figuring if I got one or two to start with, I was good. But we will be back again tomorrow. Okay. Again, we have moved the time frame back to 8 p.m. to 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. PST. Okay. Hopefully this works out well for people. I'm still going to run through technological glitches. This is pretty much a guarantee. But that said, I want to say thank you so very much for sharing your time with us tonight. Really appreciate it. Really appreciate the questions and the well wishes. Thanks so much, guys. We are going to have to tie this off. So until we talk again, do take care of yourselves and each other. And for pity's sakes, stay positive.